Jam. Toon Jam.
Hello and welcome once again to Toon Jam podcast. I am Matt.
And I'm J-Man.
And we are talking all about Robot Chicken today as part of our ongoing Adult Swim peruse. This is our, I think, second to last entry in the saga.
The penultimate.
So, yes, we are drawing towards the end where we can really talk about Adult Swim, as we will be doing anyway. Good stuff.
Get ready for more of the series.
Just what you wanted. But yes, like I say, today is all about Robot Chicken, which is slightly different to what we usually cover, mainly just because it's stop motion. Have we done any stop motion before?
Okie doke.
Oh yeah. So tough competition.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's do a bit of background info on Robot Chicken. It's an American adult animated stop motion sketch comedies television series created and executive produced for Adult Swim by Seth Green and Matthew Steinreich. Hopefully that's pronounced correctly, sorry if not, along with co-head writers Douglas Goldstein and Tom Root. The writers, prominently Green, also provide many of the voices. Steinreich, Goldstein and Root were formerly writers for the popular action figure hobbyist magazine Toy Fair. Robot Chicken has won an Annie Award and 6 Emmy Awards.
Oh, wow.
It's an ongoing series, still going now, I believe. So far, there have been 200 episodes and 10 specials. Robot Chicken is based on Twisted Toy Fair Theatre, a humorous photo comic strip appearing in the Toy Fair magazine, the toy magazine. The show's name was inspired by a dish on the menu at a West Hollywood Chinese restaurant, Kung Pao Bistro, where Green and Steinreich had dined. The series originally was intended to be called Junk in the Trunk, which, strangely enough, is the episode of the first is the name of the first episode which we watched. The show was created in we already know this. Sorry, I'm repeating myself. But what was I going to say? Yes, some television networks and sketch shows rejected Robot Chicken, including Comedy Central, Mad TV, Saturday Night Live, and even Cartoon Network. However, someone at Cartoon Network passed the pitch along to Adult Swim around the same time that Seth MacFarlane told Seth Green and Matthew Steinreich to pitch the show to Adult Swim. So I guess he was of no help there. The show mocks popular culture, referencing toys, movies, television, games, popular fads, and other obscure references like anime, cartoons, and older television programs, much in the same vein as comedy set shows like Saturday Night Live. It employs stop-motion animation, toys, action figures, claymation, and various other objects such as tongue depressors. I don't know what a tongue depressor is, but hey-ho. The game of life pegs and popsicle sticks. So there's all sorts going on. Yeah, I mean, it's fairly well received.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that it's still going says it all.
Yeah.
I mean, the amount of celebrity guest stars is insane.
Yeah.
You look through this list, I mean, just picking a few at random. 50 Cent, Kristen Bell, John McHale. I mean, they're not particularly massive ones, but 50 Cent's pretty big.
Yeah.
I'm just picking them. Bruce Campbell.
Yeah, Macaulay Culkin was in the episode we watched.
Yeah, hilariously, and was the voice of Pikachu. Which is really good. Okay, so have you watched it before?
Yeah. I think I've watched a good few episodes of this. I used to really enjoy it when I was younger. I think it was weird. There was a time when like Seth Green was like everywhere, and then like this was like shortly afterwards, and it was like, oh, Seth Green's in it. He's pretty funny. So yeah,
Yeah,
just enjoyed that fact.
I've watched a few. I've watched a couple of the specials. So I've watched the Star Wars special. I've watched one of the DC specials.
Yeah.
And I think I've seen a couple of episodes before. I've never really watched that much. The trouble is, I don't really like Seth Green.
Really?
Yeah, I just don't find him that funny. I don't know what it is. It just never really clicked with me. I don't know if it's as well like Seth MacFarlane. I've never been a fan.
No, I don't really like Seth MacFarlane.
And he's in this a lot as well, isn't he?
Yeah.
So it's kind of there's what I find about the first sort of comment I want to make about Robot Chicken, and this was the biggest thing I've always taken from it, is that I think the stuff in the animation is far funnier than the written jokes.
Yeah.
So you'll see things that are pretty funny. The way things play out is pretty funny because it's toys and stuff. But the actual gags, I feel, aren't very funny.
Yeah.
I know that's entirely a preferential thing. And the fact that my sense of humour doesn't gel with it, because obviously loads of people find it funny. But I'm just not that into those gags.
Yeah. It's funny that it said on the thing, it's like Saturday Night Live, because if this was live action, it wouldn't be as popular as it is.
No, yeah, and I would go as far as say it wouldn't be funny.
Yeah, probably wouldn't. Loads of it just wouldn't land, would it? Like, because so much of it's got a hilarious amount of like slapstick to it, and stuff. Like the toys really make or break what it does, basically, and that's what separates it from even the rest of the animation that's sort of like on with it, you know, because like the rest of Adult Swim stuff was all pretty much 2D stuff. Well, and they've got live action as well now, but I mean, like, that's what separates it visually quite drastically from the rest, isn't it? That like it's toys, it's like stop motion toys and figures and stuff. So but yeah, without that, I think it'd be a very different show.
Because and I think like the fact that it's toys as well, rather than just like, 'cause even if this was all claymation or something, it wouldn't be. It's part of the, because it's toys and they're so, you know, crap for, like, they don't move properly.
No.
The mouths, they have to put paper mouths on them.
Over them.
So like they're always like stupid smiles, and like it looks hilarious because it's just so cheap almost. But I think like you look at like the sort of sketch that I remember the most that made me laugh from this episode is the one where it's like one-sided fights.
Yeah.
And it's just like people like just like, you know, some guy beating up a baby and stuff like that, which obviously would never be funny in real life.
No,
but
it'd be banned before it hit the TV. Yeah.
But it's just hilarious because it's just toys. But a lot of that, it's just literally visual humor.
Yeah.
Whereas you take the Pokemon one, I really didn't think overall that was a funny sketch. So it's just like Pikachu saying Pikachu, Squirtle saying Squirtle, and then Squirtle going, why do we keep saying this? This is so stupid. And it's just like, well, yeah, I mean, that's a really easy joke to make, isn't it?
Yeah, it's barely even a joke.
Yeah, and it was funny that I saw at the end, obviously, Macaulay Culkin voiced Pikachu, because the only thing I liked in that sketch was the way he kept going, Pikachu, Pikachu, Pika, Pika. It was just like his voice was funny, but the actual gag wasn't.
No.
And there's a lot of that, I think.
Yeah. I think
it's a similar humour to Family Guy, isn't it?
Yeah, I think that's, As I got older, I've watched a lot less of it.
Yeah.
And I think that's because of the sort of, it sort of slipped into Family Guy territory, which I mean, I guess it is perfect for those two working together, really, because Family Guy basically survives off jokes that are completely irrelevant to the rest of the scene, which is essentially what Robot Chicken is. It's
Yeah.
almost like they, like at the studio, they turn off Family Guy and turn on a short from Robot Chicken, and then switch it back again when the joke's finished, because that's basically what all it is, isn't it? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, this also benefits from just being short little bursts of stuff, so that nothing's really on for that long, is it? Like even the longer clips, like we saw in this one, there's like a whole thing with Optimus Prime getting diagnosed with prostate cancer, which again is like way too dark a joke for that to have been live action.
Yeah, exactly. Again, that was with the funny. I really didn't think that sketch was funny at all. But I did think the stuff that the actual other Transformers were just doing was funny. That's what's sort of a saving grace, because for me, I do not like the humour, but the visual side will always. There's always something in it. It's like, oh yeah, that toy's funny.
Yeah.
Which is, I suppose, in a way, stupider than the joke itself.
That's it.
But yeah, it's not very long. It's 10 minutes.
Yeah.
It felt long, but not that I was bored or anything. It felt like a long episode.
Yeah.
But I guess that's, sketch shows. There's always going to be hit and miss anyway. It did make me laugh though.
Yeah, I think also as well, it's like it's weird watching that now, because like when did it start? When was this? What was the first year?
So it started in 2005.
Right. Yeah. So as far as like popular culture and stuff goes, like obviously loads of the stuff is like barely relevant now.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, if anything's still relevant, it's because it's probably had a reboot or two or something. So, but I know as they go on, it becomes very much like it's a look at, like the MTV reality stuff, and it's like popular, whoever's in the charts at the minute, or like whatever TV shows trending.
Yes,
so it sort of dates itself in a way on that front, because a lot of the stuff is like, if you watched it now, you wouldn't know who half of these people were, because they were just like popular for a heartbeat and then just disappeared into the ether. So there'll be loads of gags that are just like, I don't know what that meant.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it immediately dates it when at the start of it, George W. Bush is like a toy of him. Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. This is when it was made.
That's it. I think like the host of like whatever, I think it was supposed to be like a TRL segment or something, like it was like Sway or whatever, which I'm sure was like some rapper that's just not relevant anymore.
Yeah, that was weird, that whole bit with the there's a big politics bit in the middle that obviously was, like you say, like if you get it, you get it, but watching it this time on and not knowing at all, kind of just ruins the entire section, doesn't it?
Yeah, it just becomes some absurd scene that you're like, okay, I guess that meant something at some point.
Yeah, and then I think like the last half of the episode pretty much was this like outtakes show, like fake outtakes, but and that wasn't particularly great.
No,
there was the odd bit. The Dukes of Hazzard bit, I remember. I don't know as it was that funny.
No.
But I remember that one. I can't remember many of them, to be honest.
Well, there was the fights as well that you mentioned, like the.
Oh, was that on that bit?
One, the one side.
Yeah, that was funny. To be fair, I did laugh at that. It just went on like long enough to make you chuckle as well.
Oh, there was like David Duchovny being replaced in X-Files by other actors.
Yeah, which again, that's weird. Like, X-Files is obviously not that big anymore.
No.
So you just kind of like, what is going on here?
Dude, they had like Keanu Reeves. And then Mr. T.
Yeah.
And then like I can't remember who the last guy was, like some weird Hunchback of Notre Dame looking.
Oh yeah, I had no idea what that was. It was just weird. And I wasn't sure if it was like slightly offensive as well.
Yeah.
Like one of them where you're just like, I'm not sure this is aged well. But that was it. I mean, yeah, it's a good point as well. Like you get to a point, especially with adult stuff, humor obviously and social norms have changed so much in the past 10, 15 years.
Yeah.
And I mean, I guess they always do, because if you look at something from the 60s, it's massively different. So, you know, it's always changing. That's part of life. But it's just weird that, I guess, because we're getting to an age now where we're seeing stuff that we've seen before and it being like bad in that way. Because I mean, this is what 15 years old.
Yeah. Everything's changed quite a lot since the early 2000s.
So it starts getting strange in that way.
That's it. I think initially as well, the reason that I sort of gravitated towards Robot Chicken in the early days was because it reminded me of this show called Action League Now. Which,
yeah,
it was like a little show on Nickelodeon that they ran, which was stop motion action figures, and it was like a really terrible superhero team. With like, there was like a guy called the Flesh who was just always naked and like super strong, and then there was like the Stinky Diver who didn't really have many powers. He just smelled.
Wasn't there like a melted man?
Yeah, Melt Man with the power of melt. And he just was like, they just like put a lighter to him and like melted the plastic off his face. It's just really stupid. It was like really absurd, and they were just like, you know, a classic blundering superhero team. But that cracked me up. I used to love that. In the few times it was on, because they were only little shorts, I think. And so as soon as I saw Robot Chicken, I was like, oh yeah, this is just like Action League Now. But then it wasn't. But it was, you know, it still has that. There's something weirdly funny about how clapped out old action figures are. So still.
I mean, there is. I mean, even I don't know what it is. I think it's because they, no matter what, they like action figures are made so you can, you know, move them around and stuff. But they're never going to look like human.
No.
So, and it's almost like the more articulation the action figure has, the more hilarious it is, because it still doesn't look. It still looks like a toy.
Do you remember like how that, like it sort of like passed some sort of weird hill in like levels of articulation to when it just became a problem? Like, do you ever get that like Spider-Man that had like 200 levels of articulation?
Yeah, I had that. The big one.
Up? Yeah. Like everything bent on him, so he was just like constantly in like a ball.
Just too many bones.
Way too many points of articulation. It's weird as well, because he had like, there was like ridges and joints in places where it was like, do humans even have them? like his feet bent into shapes that were just completely unnatural. Like
basically, like if he didn't have a mask, he would have eyebrows that moved. Gone that far with it.
Eyebrows that moved 360 degrees.
But yeah, I think there's something funny about the way toys. I mean, it's like Toy Story. You know, how many visual gags do they have with the toys? They like, look in the newest one, Duke Kaboom. The way he moves is like, because he's just got straight arms and stuff.
Right.
It's just funny. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, they're just weird and clunky, and I guess they always have them. Like the way that they interact most of the time in this is just over the top violent, so that everything gets slapped, and but that slapstick's just always funny, and it's even funnier when it's like a stupid toy, because it's like whether the way that it ragdolls or the fact that it doesn't ragdoll, like is funny either way. Like a cardboard thing just moving and flying away. I don't know why slapstick is funny really, but it just seems
especially to be. With toys. It's like you know, when you get into a point where like there's something, it's always something like you can't understand why it's so funny to see someone else in pain. But I can't understand why it's so funny to see a toy fall over. Like
It
what?
doesn't make sense, does it?
There's that whole sketch. I just remembered one, the Battlestar Galactica sketch,
Yeah.
where it's got this is it Scions?
Cylons, I think.
Cylons, yeah, sorry, yeah, Cylons, which are just like robot stormtroopers.
Mm.
But it's just them falling apart and falling over
Mm.
for like a minute.
Yeah.
But it's quite amusing just to watch them falling over.
Mm. And that's all it is. It's just them,
It's just
them tumbling over.
fall over.
Yeah. Yeah. Something oddly hilarious about that. So
Yeah.
they definitely latched onto something good with the action figures. Like
Yeah.
it's something that I think, yeah, definitely it A, separates it, and B, like, you know, helps where it's lacking with the actual sketches and stuff, like you said.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I think it's like if it wasn't toys,
mm,
it wouldn't be funny.
no,
I'll go as far to say that like all the humor is in the animation, and I just think the jokes are really, really not good. It's just strange.
From what I remember, I think it does get better at some point. Like, I think as the seasons progress, they kind of find their groove a bit more. But
well, like I say,
it never got.
I've seen the odd special, which is newer. Like I'm sure the DC one was like 2012.
Yeah.
And they have the odd one, but it's still a bit hit and miss. It is a case of like, I just think I'm not a big fan of Seth Green's humor.
Yeah. I think the funniest ones are where they do have like, they sort of have a really left field take on something, and then they like really ram that home through the toys and stuff like that, because they've got all this, like, you know, like you've got actual toys of Batman or actual toys of like the Transformers and stuff. Like they can make all these false scenes that never happen and stuff, and it feels like oddly authentic because obviously they are actual real toys of those those properties. So they get to.
There's the Star Wars one's quite good, as I remember. Again, it's hit and miss, but because obviously they've got, you know, every Star Wars character has a toy.
Yeah.
So, and I remember a particular one with Lando and Darth Vader. And every time Darth Vader makes a deal with him, he keeps saying, "This deal keeps getting worse all the time."
Yeah.
Every time he says that, he comes back with some stupid thing like, "You also have to wear this rubber ring and juggle these juggling balls."
Yeah.
And he just keeps saying, "This deal keeps," and so on. But that's funny because it's actually Lando's voice as well.
Yeah. All right.
So it's like they get the actual guy in.
Yeah, that's always good as well when it's that's like another added thing that sort of helps them out, that they get half of the celebrities actually voice themselves, which seems really stupid, but it's like what a weird gig to be like, oh yeah, you've got to come in and play yourself in the form of an action figure.
I mean, it's no wonder everyone does it, because you would, wouldn't you?
Yeah, you would. Yeah,
it is hilarious. All right. Well, we've talked the talk, so let's walk the walk, or whatever, and go to the ratings.
Hey guys, so remember you're voicing yourself, but this is going to be toys, versions of yourselves, and you're doing a podcast. Yeah, got it.
Okay. Hello, I'm Matt. Welcome to Toon Jam.
And it's me, J-Man, here at Toon Jam. This is what we do. We talk about tunes and jams.
Oh, here's a bit of background information about a cartoon that you already know about.
Oh, you've seen it before, and so have I. Oh, no, I haven't. Oh, I've got it wrong, like I do all the time.
So let's give our egotistical opinion on this.
What's it going to be? It's a It's a no-go for me.
Oh, and it's a thumbs middle on mine go. Yes, this is my opinion.
Well, we're not going to change it for anyone. We'll see you again another time. Toon Jam.
So here at Toon Jam, we have a 3-point rating system that goes as follows. Thumbs up, 26 points of articulation. Thumbs down, 47 points of articulation. And shaky middle. And shaky middle, 5 points of articulation. So, just to clarify, we have thumbs up good, thumbs down bad, shaky middle, well, you know. So, J-Man, let's talk about Robot Chicken and review.
Yeah, I think as a concept, it's quite fun that it's like a weird sketch show, but it's done with toys. A lot of it looks really fun. It's cool that it tries to stay topical. Whether or not it actually succeeds in that all the way to the end, it's questionable. I think, but I mean, you do have the other side of that coin, and the fact that like most of the stuff is going to stay in the decade that it began in. So, you might be better off watching the most recent Robot Chicken for it to make sense to you. Also, the jokes are hit and miss, but again, it is a sketch show, so I guess that's kind of what you get. But I think a lot of the time it's like, it's all right. I think most of the times you find it funny will be just if you have anything invested in what they're poking fun at. So if you know those characters and like them, then you might have something that you're like, oh yeah, that's quite a funny take on it. Other stuff can be a bit like, I don't know what that means. So overall, it's like genuinely genuine. It's generally enjoyable, I think. I think you could probably look at it and find it funny most of the time without needing any of the actual audio, because it's maybe just the Foley sound of things being hit would be a pretty good show on its own, just like Robot Chicken. The sound effects episodes would be pretty good to watch. So yeah, I think for me it's a pretty firm shaky middle. I think a bit of a hit and miss kind of thing, but it's still enjoyable enough to watch. I don't think you should avoid it necessarily, but it's shaky middle material, I think.
Yeah, I think that's fair. The same, because I think it is how like you've got the jokes don't always land. They do sometimes, but a lot of the time they don't. The visual gags, more often than not, do land. But even on the ones, so like I say, I've watched a couple of the specials, but even on the specials, it's hit and miss.
Right.
And you compare it to other. There are sketch shows that you'll watch, and even if there's the odd one, you're like, whatever. You'd still be like, I love that show. Like most of it is gold. Whereas this, it is like almost like a line drawn down the middle for like gold versus crap. So I'll put myself also at a firm shaky middle. It isn't in any way bad, and I would watch more. And I saw that there was more. There was another DC special, so I might go and watch that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it isn't bad by any stretch, but it just isn't. It's not something I would actively watch loads of.
No, yeah, I think that's the thing, isn't it? Like, it's definitely a passive watch. Like, if it's on, you're like, I'll check it out.
But I'm sure equally, it just isn't. It isn't my sense of humour, and it's like the same with Family Guy. I just don't really like Family Guy. I don't really like Seth MacFarlane. I'm not a big fan of Seth Green. I'm just not that into it. So I know there's going to be people out there that love it. I mean, as with pretty much anything we watch, but this more so. Yeah. So, it's just not my cup of tea, and that's always going to affect my rating. But I can appreciate what's good about it as well. So yeah, shaky middle, worth a watch. A lot of you have probably seen it anyway.
Yeah, it's quite popular. So this is.
I mean, we didn't want to do too many overly popular shows, which is why we've not done things like Rick and Morty. But because you don't need us to tell you anything about that.
Exactly.
But yeah, 2 shaky middles. That's, I think, fair. Also, the lowest rating of an Adult Swim show yet.
Really? Like the most popular show that they've got.
The only one that's like still going now.
We're like, nah.
Like, no, like Assy McGee got a better rating than us. That's a kick in the nads.
That's pretty funny all on its own. Not as good as Essie McGee.
Yeah, so I mean, it's another reason we don't do bigger shows, I guess.
Yeah, that's it.
But yeah, you go. So we've got one more coming up, and it's the most recent entry of Adult Swim, and the last one for us. So we can see then the overall. It's been pretty good so far.
Yeah, I think so.
Like 2 shaky middles being the lowest rating.
So like good. It's
Yeah.
Like the lowest it's gone. Yeah.
Yeah, and I would say like it's not had 1 thumbs down.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, let's see how next week fares. Hopefully the quality will stand. If you have enjoyed today's episode, please feel free to rate and review us on either Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever it is you listen to us. It really helps out and helps people find us. So please go and do that. If you want to get in touch with us, you can do on the 3 trash toys of the internet, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, at ToonJamPod. If you've got any recommendations or you just want to hit us up with your opinion or whatever you want to do, just message us. Feel free. We will get back to you promptly. We also have a Patreon that you can go and get bonus episodes. So you can find them on our social medias as well. And otherwise, I guess thank you for joining us. And until next time, you stay jammy.
Hey everyone, thank you for listening. If you want to help the show keep going, you can be extra jammy by heading over to our Patreon page at patreon.com/toonjampod. Here you can get a shout out on the show or unlock bonus episodes. Ratings and reviews anywhere you listen to the podcast also really help us out. So thank you and stay jammy.